Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour podcast.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 297. Thank you for joining us tonight. Coming up on episode 300. It might be another episode, might do something. I don't know, but get those comments in there. If you want to leave a voicemail, make sure you hit it up. We keep forgetting to promote the damn thing. 267-991-0156. So if you want to leave us a little message, why the hell not? We'll play it on the show. Maybe we'll have a couple of them to go through. You can bash Brian, praise me like normal, or you can switch it up, but you don't have to. That's fine.
Jim, I feel like you're misremembering the truth.
No, I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it happened, Brian. Every single time.
I don't know, Jim. I think you're misremembering it.
It's always, Jim, you're so right. Jim, you're so smart. Oh, Jim, you're dick. I just imagined. Oh, my God.
And you wake up from these fantasies when?
When I'm gooey.
Damn it. Chambers. So how you doing this week so far, Chambers?
It is going. Another busy week in the books. Brian, I am sorely sleep deprived right now because I am completely 100% back and addicted to StarCraft 2. I've been waiting 8 years to have a goddamn computer that can play it. I'm in the trenches of it, and my God, am I terrible at it. But it's one of those games where it's just like, I immediately just jumped right back in, went right in the ladder. It was like, all right, let's place. I know I'm going to be a bottom feeder. Let's try and work my way back up and learn my mechanics. And oh boy, even in the lowly bronze and silver leagues, I'm getting my head stomped in more times than not. But there's wins, Bri. There's precious wins. They just fuel me. They like, I can go 10 losses in a row and then I get a win. It's like, there's that fix I need.
Wow.
It's some rough titties, and like I'll look down, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's 12:30 at night on a work night. And yeah, I've been I was almost getting to the frustration point of not wanting to do it anymore. Hopefully, I burn out fast because I can't keep this up. And I have other stuff I have to play still. But yeah, feels great to be back in it, and like it's so annoying to have just at the low leagues, like you just get cheesed constantly. So it's like you'll be sitting there and at like the 6-minute mark, all of a sudden the battle cruiser's like just completely wrecking like your like 5 Marines you have made at that point. Obviously, I should have more at that point. Shut up. But yeah, it's just like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is fun. This is cool. Always proxies, bunch of SCV and Marine all-ins, all kinds of bull crap. And I'm just sitting there trying to do it right, Bri. I'm trying to macro and micro the right way. And it's just, it don't work so well, Brian.
So do you think, I mean, like you said, you haven't had a PC that could play games in a while. Do you think you're going to start dipping your toes more into PC games that you never got a chance to try?
Yeah, actually, on my desktop right now, I've actually been meaning to play that Murder Science the Hedgehog game that came out like 2 years ago on Steam when they were having their little Sega celebration. So it's a freebie. I think it's a visual novel, but I heard it was like pretty cute. And also, I downloaded Celico. So, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago when I downloaded it, and it looks like a cool Doom clone, I figured, well, I have something to play it on now, so might as well.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So I'll be getting around to those eventually, along with all the resolution games and the Patreon games we still got to do and all that bull crap. Speaking of resolution games, I started dipping my toe into Bloodstained again, and this is like my 3rd time trying it, and I think I hate the game. Like, you know what it is? Like, I like my Metroidvanias to be like the kind where like I can just explore, and just by exploring and trying things out, stuff happens. I don't want to read. I don't want to know that I had to go back and make a goddamn concoction to, go through a certain part, or I can't do it without it, or do some stupid crafting, or that I have to take my picture for an ID card so I can get on a train, or I can go to a different level. I just let me go through the levels. Like, I like them more like Metroid and not like Symphony of the Night. This is what I'm learning about myself here, Brian.
But you played the first Bloodstained, right?
I mean, the other ones are like more like 2D ripoffs. So like the 2 Curse of the Moons are more like Castlevania 3, basically. So okay. I'm all in on those. Those are fantastic games. I absolutely love those. But Ritual of the Night, yeah, I don't think I'm a fan. It's like I'm at the point now. It's like I'm so goddamn lost. I'm looking up guides, but every guide's just like, oh, you can't do this until the very end of the game. Oh, you can't do this until the very end of the game. So there's like one dumb thing I must not be doing, and I'm just completely lapping the map again and again and again. So by the time I do figure it out, I'm probably gonna be so overpowered at least because of all this grinding I'm doing that I'll just blast through the rest of it. That'll be nice. But just getting to that point is just driving me insane.
I mean, that's a tough realization that I mean, it's kind of good on one hand. You discovered you didn't really like it, but my guess is if it's a game like what you're describing, it's probably not very short.
I mean, probably not. I'm only like 38% of the map discovered at this point, and I'm like about 10 hours in, where I'm pretty sure at this point I should only be like 4 hours in, but I am desperately lost, and I'm just getting more and more frustrated. It's just terrible. I hate my life. I hate playing
But
this
you know
goddamn
what?
game.
I've seen you do this before, and I feel like there might be a moment where it clicks for you, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, you know what? It is a good game."
Maybe. I hope that happens. I hope I eat crow a couple weeks from now, but right now, oh, I'm not having fun with it.
Don't like it. Hmm. Okay. Well, speaking of games that I don't even want to say I don't like it. But threw me for a loop. Resident Evil Survivor. Now it's not known to be a great game. It's been notoriously shit on. I actually I was like, oh, the concept of a first person old PS1 game, even though it came like the balls end of the PS1 life cycle. They recycle a lot of enemies and shit you would expect. The control is rough, but I went in there kind of fully expecting that. Like I just used my D-pad, and I know there are other ways you can play it. You can't use the analog stick. I tried that, so you literally have to aim with a D-pad, which
Ooh,
it kind of has a semi-auto aim feature. Like once you hit a zombie or a monster, it locks onto it. But if it's something that's like a fast mover, like a dog, then you have to keep. That's why they're a fucking nightmare. You have to keep realigning to it. Um, I didn't realize a couple things because I didn't look up anything on the game that there's like branching paths and there's multiple points in the game and they don't tell you. You just go to an area and you see three doors and you're like, okay, I'll just go this one. Not knowing like this one will only have this weapon and this one has this weapon and this one's the easy path. This is the hard path. Like all these things that there's no indication of. And um I ended up looking up because I was like, I don't know, an hour and a half into the game. It was pretty late at night. And then I look up, I'm like, all right, like, is there a save here? And there is no save feature with the game whatsoever. The only save is if you fully die and decide not to continue, then it keeps your items and weapons, but you still have to start from the beginning. So you have to beat it in one sitting. So I was like, what
oh,
the fuck? So when I figured that out, I was like, well, I need to look up the guide because I just need to get it done now. Now I only had like 2 or 3 levels left. Guide didn't mean shit. Got to the tyrant fight at the end and fully realized I don't have enough like good weapon ammo or health to actually beat him. Like I tried him time after time. I kept dying. So I just had to turn it off. Like I was rageful. I was like, fuck this.
brutal.
Came back. I was like, you know what? Let me look up and here, like I looked up the guide of like the easier routes. Like I chose some of the hardest ones, which is why I had to use up so much ammo and health. So once I knew the right paths to go and which weapons to get, I think I beat it in like an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20. So it's a very short game. Um, Interesting little twist on the story. I guess I don't know if they consider it canon because it's like you're playing a spy who has amnesia, who was sent there by Leon Kennedy to investigate this island that, of course, has TNG virus in it. So not a great game, but if you're a diehard Resident Evil fan, I think it's way better than Resident Evil Gaiden, and you don't need to pay like $400 million for it. So yeah, I got that at Too Many Games, I think for like $20. So I was like, ah, whatever.
Yeah, you snagged that a couple years ago. According to how long to beat, should take you about 2 hours to beat the main story. So you're right along there. But if
Yeah.
you like dicked around without the guide, so I mean, cool for playing a not great game spinoff thing.
Well, you mentioned a game you didn't like, so that's one I didn't like. But I'll tell you a game I fucking love, and I already texted you this weekend.
Oh yes, you did.
Is I am balls deep in RoboCop Rogue City. So I started it, and like you, like initially I was like, okay, it's fun. Love the RoboCop theme, the graphics. It's funny. I'm more impressed with the in-game graphics than the cutscenes. The cutscenes I think look terrible compared to the actual like in-game environment and world.
What are you playing it on?
the Series X.
Okay. Because yeah, I know the I played the PS5 version and I know that was not optimized well at all. So like I don't know if I don't think it does it on the Xbox version, but on the PS5 version in cutscenes, when it changes, like when it does a hard cut to like, say you're at like one person and it goes back to Robocop, there's like a momentary like full on glitch of the screen as it's switching back and forth.
Oh no,
So
I didn't have any of that. I mean, it was smooth for the most part. I'm just saying, like,
it
the
doesn't look great.
character
The models don't
models.
look great. Yeah.
Yeah, RoboCop looks great, but for some reason, like all the human, like every other human in it, kind of looks meh. But when you're playing the game, like I said, the environment when it's like blasting apart and there's so much detail, I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like they put a ton of time into this. I'm already after playing it for like 2 days, I'm already at the point where it's like past the prison break.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I think I'm pretty far in the game. I know there's a decent amount of chapters, but I'm taking my time too. Like at each like I think some of the most fun I have is when you're just walking around old Detroit and like you're
Mhm.
solving other little crimes. And it's funny because as I was like leveling up, I remembered you telling me like you put all your points into like the charisma one, which is the one like I put almost no points into because I was like, I need deduction, I need engineering, I need all these other things. And I was like, I don't give a fuck if I answer the shit right with people. I need to like, I want the map to show me where I need to go to do the side missions and shit like that. So,
Right. I wanted to uphold the public trust. You just want to break into safe easier, you selfish prick.
hmm oh, I give tickets like a motherfucker. Except I've given a lot of breaks, but for the most part, yeah, you're getting a ticket, you motherfuckers. But
Guilty
yeah,
until
no,
proven innocent.
the game is a lot of fun, and it is funny. Like, I'm sorry, there's like two instances where not using your main sidearm makes sense, especially like as you're leveling it up.
Oh,
I
yeah. I didn't start touching the like my combat power until like halfway through the game. And once I started upgrading that finally, I was like, oh my God, I'm just shredding guys with this main gun. And I was still using the normal gun anyway. So like
yeah
you almost never have to change your weapon, which is awesome. Like you can if you want, but then you're not hitting ball shots as easy or exploding heads. So where's the fun in that?
yeah, and now like fucking with the motherboards. I definitely had a glitch because I started, you start with the tutorial one, right? And if you upgrade it, you can actually have the gun go full auto.
Right.
Well, somehow I switched the motherboard into a motherboard that didn't have full auto, but it did have the option to never have to reload.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow my gun stuck with full auto and never having to reload. And it was very weird because when I like started taking damage, or I think I might have actually died, it went away, and I was like, no, no. It was so game breaking, but so fun to just walk in a room and just be spraying and never reloading. So yeah, I've run into a couple glitches where like my the NPC I'm following is supposed to do something and he gets stuck on a wall,
Yep, I've had that.
or I've thrown people and they just disappear into the wall, like shit like that. But yeah, dude, so much fun. I'm already halfway through RoboCop 2, the movie. Like I started showing that to the kiddos. Um,
Right.
yeah.
That is
What?
not appropriate for a goddamn 7-year old.
He doesn't see. He didn't watch all of it. He only watched. He actually started watching after Murphy gets blown apart, and it was later on. And then he doesn't stay there and watch. So he actually keeps missing all the like really violent parts. But he's just like, oh, cool, it's RoboCop,
Oh,
and
so
then
he's
does
watched like
something.
3 minutes of the movie. All right.
Yeah, exactly. But he knew the music before he saw it. He's like, "Is that RoboCop?" I was like, "Sure is, son. Sure is."
So, Brian, how stuck in your head is that song from the game?
I mean, come on. Ding 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 ding.
No, I'm talking about the rock track from the band from
Oh,
the
that
Doug Boot.
I'm so tired of that goddamn song. All I wanna do is
Right, it's an earworm.
it's annoying is what it is. But no, I think I'll probably in the next week or two be done that, and I'm trying to decide like, do I start tackling in our big game or do I bang out like Hellblade 2 Senua? Senua's whatever. Because I know that's like another shorter game. It's like 8 hours, but still shorter than most of my other games. But yeah, Chambers, what real question, we skipped right over it. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, Brian, I'm drinking first off. I don't even know what I'm drinking next yet, but from the Victory Brewing Company, nice and local. There's strawberry lemonade, zesty lemon and real strawberry puree tart ale. So this is probably a one from a mix pack that's holdover from the summer that I got on clearance. And Brian, delight in the flavors of past times with strawberry lemonade tart ale. It's packed with zesty lemon and bounced by a splash of ripe strawberry puree for an easy peasy summer sipper. 7% alcohol, which is pretty good for a sour ale. It's good, but I don't know. I think I was once again expecting more flavor out of it. And I think it's definitely more in the lemonade side than like a sour ale kind of side. So, like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. And if it was like summertime, this would probably be nice and refreshing. But,
Hmm.
for 20 degrees out in March, probably not the best call.
um, yeah, like I told you, I think last episode, you drink too much fruity shit, Jim. One of these days, you need to stop drinking candy.
Fruit for a fruit, Brian. I can't help it.
You are flaming. You said it yourself.
I sure did. Well, I guess with the new computer, I got to eventually get like a Rodecaster or a Streamcast or something. Got to put the sound drops in there.
Damn it.
I gotta have Bladeboard going, "Ooh, penis," and I gotta have me saying the flaming line and some other goodies. We'll come up with some goodies.
Damn it, Jim. Well, I am trying my best to get fully into the St. Patrick's Day mode. I last week I did Guinness. This week I'm going with good old Smittix Red Ale.
Ah, mm,
I saw it. I was like, fuck, this is the time of year. And it's something I can enjoy whenever, but it's a classic. We've talked about enough every year. That is right there with Guinness as a must have around St. Patrick's Day. So if you haven't tried it before, what are you waiting for? Um, yeah, no writing on it. 4.5%, drinking the big boy cans. So yeah, fucking delicious. There's not much to say. Irish red ales are like super drinkable with just enough malt to like make you feel like you're not just drinking like a light lager or something. They're really good.
yeah. I mean, when we first started the page, I always talked about Smittix, and it's like it's one I barely have anymore, but it's still one of those ones that every time I drink it, it's just like, hello, old friend, how
Uh
I've
huh.
missed you.
Yeah, I've never had a terrible hangover on these. So, no
Yeah,
bad experiences. You just have a couple, you're like, that was really good. Why don't I do that more? And then you forget about it till the next year.
exactly.
Yeah. It's like a hand job. Every once in a while, you're like, oh, yeah, these are okay.
Good old fashioned. This will do. This will get the job done.
But, Chambers, speaking again, the job done, you and I desperately, and I take ownership. This week, work is just going to be crazy for me for a little while. So just now really trying to find the time to get together so that way we can finish recording both Berserk Boy and re-recording Postal 2 and finishing off the X-Men games from our Patreon. So Chambers, what questions do we have this week?
Patreon.com/drink a beer and play a game, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question and we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. First up from good old Leo. Have you ever played a game with a soundtrack so bad that it made you stop playing?
Donkey Kong 64.
Right, the soundtrack is the best part of that game. All right, don't you
Um,
dare.
the soundtrack was so bad. That was the reason.
Am I able to
No.
answer this? I grew up with a fucking Genesis, so I can look past a lot. And the Genesis has a lot of great soundtracks, don't get me wrong, but it's also got a lot of really, really bad ones. And like Streets of Rage 3 and Sonic Spinball are some of my favorite games. And I'll be a defender of Streets of Rage 3 soundtrack to the day I die, knowing full well I'm in the very vocal minority there. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had anything that sounded so bad that I had to put it away.
Yeah, I can be pretty forgiving of soundtracks. Resident Evil Survivor, by the way, I have to show you this one, like since you love that awful Resident Evil basement. Unironically, you love it.
I do. Is it in there? Tell me it's in there.
No, it's not that, but it's on par with the fucking weirdness. Like it just sounds like somebody took a Casio and just rubbed across it at some like there's just really weird sounds. And the most of the soundtrack in that game is actually pretty good. And then they just have this one song. So yeah, no, I've never been able to like I've maybe muted games or just played music, but nothing so bad that I was like, okay, can't play this.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through my collection right now to see if anything like stands out as like unlistenable. And it like I like there's games with bad soundtracks like with like Eternal Champions besides the main theme song, like that was a pretty lackluster soundtrack, but it's like the soundtrack isn't a reason you stop playing that. It's like the very mid gameplay. I'm struggling here for one. N64, like they're all fine. Sometimes the soundtrack's like the best part of those games.
You know,
I
I'll be
don't
honest,
know.
I've never between graphics and sound that alone would never probably be enough for me to stop playing a game. Uh, so yeah, I don't think I can't think of one in particular where I was like, oh my god, like don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of games where I'm like, man, this soundtrack sucks, like fucking Toilets in Wonderland, but you know, yeah, nothing specific can come to mind where it's like, oh my god, this is fucking terrible. So yeah,
I mean,
I like
Bribe,
the question. I wish there was an answer.
yeah, I mean, even I mean, for unfortunately, even though you hated that soundtrack too, the soundtrack was not the reason you stopped playing Hotel Mario as quickly as you did.
Oh, I mean I do hate that. That is a terrible soundtrack. It's just so repetitive and so yeah, it's just annoying. But that game has so many issues. Yeah. The soundtrack was just one of many.
I'm more likely to turn a game off if it has no soundtrack than like a bad one. Like if it has no soundtrack and like the game kind of is like isn't anything great, I'll turn it off way quicker just because it's like, what am I doing here? You've I've got nothing.
Hmm. I said I'm also in a mode where like I'm fine just playing music or a podcast or something instead of listening to a game while I play it. So I can do that too.
Or if it's the good old original Xbox days, you just put a shitload of your own music on the system, then you listen to that.
Them
A
and
lot,
PlayStation 3, the good old days.
a lost start. Next up from Burn Retinas. Ever tried staying at an Airbnb or wanted to? If you have, do you prefer it over hotels?
Yeah, I definitely have. Do I prefer it? I don't know if I prefer it over hotels. You can definitely get more like square footage or room, and you can definitely find something reasonable. I'm always kind of weird like dealing with that. Like if it's a place that isn't run professionally, like they don't have a cleaning service or they don't have like standard contracts. It's just a dude who's like, yeah, like I'd rent this out on the weekend. It's a little shady, right? Like because at the end of the day, sometimes you realize like, oh no, this isn't someone's like vacation home. This is just their regular home and they're just like renting it out. So it can be weird. But if you find a good deal, uh yeah, I don't know. I just be smart, look into it, read a shit ton of reviews and see if they have a contract with cleaning. That would be my biggest advice. And especially if you're doing it with a group of guys like we've done before. You got to be smart about that.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm at the point where I just prefer a hotel. Like in theory, an Airbnb is great. It's like, oh, you can get a way more room, like you're saying, more amenities. But like you're so much more likely to deal with some kind of bullshit with an Airbnb than you are at the hotel. A hotel, you know, you're getting into the room, you know, it's gonna have a fridge, maybe a microwave, a bed, whatever. It does its job. But like an Airbnb, you're like kind of treating it like a house, but then you get those like emails after you leave or stuff later on. Like famously, when we were at Vermont, the guy bitched at us for all these cooking stains on his cooking sheets used for cooking. He's like, "What are all these stains? What are all these marks and scuffs and stains on my pants?" And we're like, "We cooked. We made pizza pockets. Like, what do you want? These are cooking trays."
Well, what was great about that, they were mad about that. They were mad about like they had towels there for us
They were
and we
all wet.
left.
They were all
Yeah.
wet when we got there. It was disgusting.
Yeah. Then we came there to wet towels, so we're not gonna fucking do the towels for them, but they were more wet. And this goes back to like a hotel. There's an expectation, right? When you leave a hotel, like you're not obliged to wash towels. What do you do in any bathroom at a hotel? You put the towels usually in one spot in the tub, in the shower, wherever. You pile them up, right? Like you don't sit there and neatly fold them. They didn't like that. We had like a Ziploc bag filled with like Cheetos or some shit. And they're like, yeah, there was a Ziploc bag. It wasn't shit spilled. They're like, but you left a Ziploc bag of like Doritos or Cheetos. Meanwhile, they didn't even discover the real shit we did, like Jim kicking in a cabinet door and breaking it, and we had to duct tape it so it would stay shut. They never discovered that.
Don't throw food at a fat drunk guy. All right. It's demeaning.
Damn it, Jim. God damn it. But yes, for as respectful as we are, some of those bachelor parties and guy trips, we fucked up some places. And it definitely turned me off from ever wanting to rent out to people. I'll tell you that even if I had a
No,
vacation
no,
house,
no, no, no,
I would
no.
like not do it. But to go back to the original question, I think you can find amazing deals if you're going for a group. If it's just you and your girlfriend or wife or something, probably not worth it. But if it's a big group of you, all day. Just do that because hotels are going to be so expensive unless you want to do like we did, which was do like 10 dudes in one room with like two beds and people laying on the floor. And that was our very cheap college days. I'll say that.
One of the worst smells I've ever been through. 10 guys drinking Molson Triple X, one toilet. And you're on like the 20th floor of an AC, casino hotel. So all the windows are suicide proof. So there is no airing that bitch out. There's no opening anything up.
Yeah. Do you miss those days, Jim?
Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't miss having to be so cheap. I don't miss the smells, but yeah, you miss those days, right? Like those were simpler times.
To say the least.
So yeah, the other thing I will say, if you set up a good relationship with Airbnb and like you don't fuck up the relationship, then you kind of have like a standard and you might even get better rates and better amenities. So yeah, look into it, but do your research. Don't just pick the first one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep. And that wraps up the questions for this week. So once again, thank you to everyone out there for the support. Make sure to head on over to the Patreon where you can get bonus content, bonus segments, bonus episodes with our buddy Nerdy Nick, game review requests, movie review requests, all that good stuff. And actually, Brian, while we are on the subject, bringing it back, we're trying to do it more often. Comment of the week. And Brian, I think we've hit there's tiers on the internet. And you've hit a certain tier on the internet when people ask to see your feet. So this week's comment of the week comes from I Like to Party after last week's episode in my trials and tribulations of duck walking, where he went, I need to see a video of Jim walking. So for everyone out there listening, you can head on over to the Patreon after this, and there will be a short video of me walking. I'm in socks, you sick, disgusting freaks. Maybe for the $10 tier, you can get the actual Tootsies. But
Jim, here's the question. Did you do it right or did you try and correct yourself?
Nope. I did it natural, Brian.
So
it'll be up there and it'll be
behold.
And I'm such a giving guy. I'm so good to you people. It's for free. You don't even have to be a $1 tier. You just go to the Patreon and boom, you get my Tootsies. Yep. Okay. If there's anything out there that'll bring the people or drive away the second they see it, it'll be that. Because that'd be like one of the few things that's available to everybody. So enjoy.
Well, Jim, it's funny because my comment of the week comes from the same video, and I bet you can guess which comment it was. It's from Sneaky Turtle Egg, and it said, Jim, for the sake of blubbery, stand up and walk straight. Get yourself better and don't drink too much.
I refuse to do it both.
The sake of blubbery. I'm always impressed. I feel like it's actually been a long time since I've actually called you Blub Blub.
It has been a while.
And the fact that it still lives on warms my heart a little bit, Jim.
Yeah, it's been a while since he left the comment, and yep, he always had the good blub takes. So thank you for that.
I mean, the variations are what I appreciate. If you know one thing about me, I'm a fan of alliteration, Jim.
I mean, that is true. That is so goddamn true, isn't it?
But he is right. Stand up, walk straight. Now, as far as don't drink too much, that's a lost cause.
Nah, waste of time.
But yeah, so guys, keep on sending interesting comments because I really like diving deeper into these. Uh, I'm terrified. I will not be watching the video of you walking. I've seen it now for what feels like 20 years. It feels like too
Um,
long.
Basically has been about 20 years. So yes,
Actually, it has been 20 years. So yeah, so I've been yelling at you long enough for this.
fucking fix that shit. Why don't you yell that to my parents when I was 2?
Jim, you walk like that, and I discovered very late in life apparently I have an angry walk that I've had my wife and several others tell me about, which I didn't realize is a thing, because obviously I never watch myself walking, but apparently when I'm walking alone or two things, I have an angry walk. I didn't know this.
Yes, I have seen this angry walk. It's a very serious, got a little scowl on your face, a little bit of a poop
Yeah,
face.
I don't know. It is what it is, Chamber. Sometimes we all do shit we're not aware of.
That is true. It's like when you wake up next to a guy and you go, not again. The old
Damn
Brian
it.
special.
I hate you, Jim. But you know what I don't hate, Chambers? The new bit we are going to start talking about on each and every one of these episodes. We talked about it, I think, after last week's episode. I had mentioned, obviously we're going to hit up the Patreon reviews. I want to get us back to doing regular reviews, but one of the things I always enjoyed was Jim and I trying a game and just doing reviews. Doesn't have to be a full fledged one, a mini review, if you will. And I thought, what's more appropriate about the Power Hour than let's limit ourselves. Do 1 hour, and you have to time yourself. You have to know you did an hour. And each month, we're going to pick a system, and Jim and I will each pick two games. And each week, we cover one of the games. So this first month, we're doing the NES, and I let Jim pick his first game. So we actually did Gun Neck and Chambers. Since it is your game, I'm gonna let you start, but I am gonna ask. I don't know if you have this information. Do you know what uh, difficulty you had it on and what level you finished on after the hour?
So, Brian, before we get into this, we're going to get into a classic Jimmy Wimmy Fucky Wucky. So, when we were coming up with this plan,
You
I
started
thought,
with the game I first sent you, didn't you?
no, I did not.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be like we take turns each week where we just talk about the game that we were assigned. I didn't realize that we were supposed to both play this game and then report back with our findings, which is fine because I've played this game a lot before when I gave it to you. So I'm lucking out here. So almost a disaster. Jimmy can still talk about it, but the assignment kind of got lost in translation. Let's just go that way.
You know, Jim, this harkens back to when we would actually do beer reviews and I gave you a specific beer and you wrote it for a completely different beer. And I was like, how the fuck did you even do that? You're like, what? I thought it was this. And it was something like I said, like, do summer wheat. And you did like fucking like amber ale. I was like, what? It's not even close. At least if you would have done it close, I would have understood.
So, well, everyone out there, all the listeners, welcome to Life with Jimmy, because this is something my wife constantly yells at me about for either misreading text messages or not reading them, paying enough attention during them. So it's just
So
a
Jim,
day in the
then
life.
let you know what, Jim? Then let me start because I did the assignment right. So
Oops.
I kept it on intermediate as far as difficulty. Like I didn't change it. So I guess that's normal.
Yeah,
It's
that's how
not,
I've always played before. Yeah.
yeah. This, I will say, this is my first time playing Gun Neck. I know you've mentioned it before, so I didn't even know what kind of game it was when I turned it on. Um, I made it to level 6 in the hour, which how many levels are there total?
That's a good question. I've never actually fully beaten it.
Oh, okay. Um, I feel like it got pretty far. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you know what? It's a not to cut you off. Sorry, it's a game by compile, so they tend to be longer. So, like, I know like Blazing Lasers and Musha and shit like that. Like, they're always about like at least 10 levels, kind of deal like that. But they're
Oh, this
always
is
very long.
there's 8 levels.
Oh, you got pretty damn far then.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was, And stage, well, they're called stages. I'm calling them levels. I'm looking up stage 7 and 8 are combined. So technically, I guess that was the level before the final levels. Um, yeah, when I first started it up, it's a vertical shooter, and it's the standard. You find power ups, and there's two alternate power ups. There's like a bomb thing that you release, and then there's the actual type of gun that you're shooting.
Yeah.
Um, I was just so like I'm picking up everything, not really paying attention to like I recognized right away the numbering changed.
Hmm.
I at one point had like 30 bombs because I kept not using them, not realizing like I wasn't looking at the counter. And then I realized at stage 6, like, oh fuck, like the bombs change and they all have a different like number to them. So I could have just been spamming the shit out of bombs on all these fucking difficult parts. Um, right off the bat, I'll say the game was pretty damn fun. I didn't really start hitting any lag until maybe stage 5 when shit was just going crazy on screen. By stage 3, the ocean planet is when like the curve, the difficulty curve just goes fuck you, and I'm like,
Yep.
man, stage 1 and 2, I never even got hit once, and it wasn't until midpoint of like stage 3 that I actually got my first hit, and I realized that the plane you're like piloting starts breaking down, like so. Um, I think once you get to stage 4 and 5, shit's really crazy. And stage 6, it's unrelenting. Now, I'm sure had I spent more than just 1 hour with the game, I know I could beat it, but it's just one of those like, yeah, for 1 hour, not much to say. The soundtrack I felt was pretty good. Um, I don't think there was anything overtly memorable, but it was all very appropriate, and I did enjoy it. The visuals, okay, Japan. Why do you gotta make such weird fucking enemies? Like fucking rolls of toilet paper, cats. Like the opening movie is like, yeah, like something evil or something is turning everyday items against you. And you now we need a fucking pilot to come shoot toilet paper. I'm like, this makes no sense. That's my one big gripe with the game. But yeah, no, I do like it. I think one of the things I want you and I to do is to say after you spend an hour, would you go back to this game? I definitely would. Like you said, I think it's also because I got so far. Like I kind of want to beat it now, but it is a good just time sink. I think it's probably a 2 hour game tops, maybe three, but really, really fun.
Yeah, that's the thing with compile shooters is that they do a great job with almost all of them of like weaning you into the game. So the first couple levels, like you said, they'll be a little bit easier. You'll kind of be smashing through them, be like, oh, I got this by the balls. And then you're gonna hit a wall, basically, where they're like, all right, well, this is the real game now. Uh to your point with the enemies in this, actually they censored some of the enemies, if I'm remembering correctly, between North America and Japan. Because like oh, pardon me. I think it'll be like some kind of stick enemy in America, but in Japan, it's like a cigarette. So, like, it's definitely more on the goofy, more comedy ish side when it comes to that. But yeah, they all kind of have whether you're paying like Power Strike or West or Musha or, Space Megaforce, Blazing Lasers, they all kind of have a similar kind of power up system and like with the different alternate weapons and how you do them all. And it's just a system I really like. Like, any one of them I play, I tend to enjoy them. So I'm definitely with you. It's one that I'll pop in here and there. I have the Japanese Famicom version because that is so much cheaper than the North American version. That thing goes for a couple $100. So yeah, I have the Japanese version original there. I mean, I bought it like 5, 6 years ago for like $30 or something. I don't know what it goes for now, but I mean, just download the goddamn ROM, save yourself some money. And no, I mean, I find those games very replayable all the time. And an hour is just when you start to be like, no, I got this. I got this. And a funny thing I noticed, like the more I go back to play these games to try and beat them, I tend to start like it's almost like when you first start playing, you have beginner's luck and you get way further than you ever expect to because you're playing like loosey goosey. Then when you start to
Mm-hmm.
really concentrate, you're going to make a shitload of mistakes until you like basically memorize the levels too. So it's like a pattern I have every time I play these.
And you know what? To your point, since I didn't know, like I would just every single time there's a power up, I never kept to one gun. I never was like, oh, I want to keep number 5 or 4. No, I just grab whatever's there. Didn't use my bomb, and I realized I started doing worse once I was trying to be like, I kind of want to stick to this one gun and power just this one up and use this bomb. And it started fucking me up because like you said, you think too much. I think if you, those games, you get in that natural flow state of like, yeah, I'm just fucking around. And then, yeah, your ignorance is actually your blessing. And then once you learn and you try, now you're going to just lose all the time. So yeah, when I go back, I'll probably never make it past stage 3 or some shit.
And the game's almost like I forget if gun acts like this, but some of them will actually like they give you power ups for guns that'll probably make these sections a tiny bit easier. Like you can just
Yeah.
plow through with like your favorites, obviously, and get really good with that.
Hmm.
Or like they can be like, well, you might be a little easier with this one. That's like a lesson I had to learn the hard way and like blazing lasers and shit like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I love them, like I said.
But no, good choice, Chambers. It's funny not knowing that the games you chose. I was like, oh, I was like, I'm just gonna guess he's gonna give me a shooter. So, you know, that's definitely what you did. So
You gave me
next
one too,
we're,
though.
yeah, I did, and I actually did it with the intent. I was like, I think Jim would like this kind of game. So what we'll do is we'll reveal. So next week we're doing my first pick, which is the Guardian Legend. So we'll see, Chambers.
Oddly enough, Brian, ironically enough, another one by Compile.
It's ironic, don't you think?
I'm not singing it.
Staying
It's
at
yay!
So, Chambers, for everyone listening, what do you need to do when you try Guardian Legend?
I need to play the game and I need to record my footage and I do it.
You don't need to record your footage. You're already
Oh,
fucking up. I
even better.
just need you to make sure, start a timer and stop at an hour. I don't care where you're at. Just
Oh
stop
yeah,
it. 'Cause
yeah,
I,
yep.
I want to see how, like, that's part of it. Also, like, how far did you get? Does it really make you want to come back? But I did caveat it. Like, if a game has a bunch of movies at the beginning, not until you actually start playing. I think the one game you chose, neither of us will get very far because I imagine there's a lot of story and bullshit text we got to get through.
Oh fuck. Oh, I remember which one I gave you now.
Which
Which now I realize I have to play it too.
I still want to know now. Like I need to know. Like
We're not going to
let
get
us
very far into the game. I'll say
we'll
that
see.
right
We'll
now.
see. That's a little. That's actually
A teaser.
the yeah in 2 weeks. So come back next week. So yeah, gun neck. Um, should we give a score or just say we'll come back? We would want to come back and play it.
Just say recommend or not recommend. We can just leave it at that.
Recommend.
Yep, definitely recommend.
All right, Chambers. So, did you move away from your candy? You getting a real beer, or is it more candy?
It's more candy, Brian. Because as I learned a couple weeks ago, you don't go from candy to a different type of beer. You just kind of have to stick with it once you start because the rumbling, the tumbly, Bry. I have a show to record here. All right. So from the Iron Hill Brewery, I am trying out the Seedless Fruited Sour. Comes in at 7% alcohol. Seedless is the perfect for a hot summer day. Once again, it is March 3rd and it is about 20 degrees out. This tart sour ale is brewed with lactose and finished with the right amount of juicy watermelon, tart limes, ground coriander, and pink sea salt. This refreshing delight is your perfect partner for picnics in the park or relaxing on the bench. I am surprised I did not mutilate that alliteration they had going there. But yeah, good
Ew.
old.
I'm
Not a
sorry.
fan of that.
When I hear sea salt, I right away go, ew.
It normally doesn't end well, and I know this, and
Yeah.
I've never had this before, so we are about to find out.
Let's see if yeah, because salt gets overdone so often in beer.
Hmm. Hmm. It's definitely tart, but weirdly subdued. It definitely leaves that like, stronger aftertaste of like a sour beer than the Victory one did. The salt almost like maybe it's because of like how watermelon heavy it is. Like watermelon and salt, they go together well.
Yeah,
So
salt
maybe for
on
once,
watermelon pulls out more sweetness. So
yeah, it
maybe okay.
might be the right time for it. Like generally, if you see a sea salt beer, like I'm with you. It's like stay away. It's probably gonna be garbage. But in this instance, I don't even really notice it.
Jim, you do so many things ass backwards that I now know in like summer you're gonna be like, yeah, so here's my really heavy stouts and my quads that are great for wintertime.
Right, here's my winter warmer and my chocolate porter.
On clearance.
Damn right.
I will say the Smittix is going strong, going good. I wish I could have have more. But unfortunately, I got up way too early now. So, yeah, fun times. But
Or
Chambers,
you don't be a bitch and you just drink.
I mean, there's that too. But we'll be doing that tomorrow with our buddy.
Ah, yes, we are.
So I can't go too hard 2 nights in a row, Jim.
Yeah, Brian, that's called a dependency, and you can do it.
Well, Jim, I know there's one beer probably none of us will be drinking, just like the rest of the world. Eh?
Huh?
Eh?
Huh?
Eh?
Huh?
Jim, how's good old Bud Light been doing?
Well, not just Bud Light, Brian, but old AB InBev, the big
Mhm.
bad bully and enemy of the craft beer world. Uh, and they're doing weirdly well and weirdly bad at the same time. So, this is coming to us from Sherwood.news. Bud Light owner AB InBev has seen its volumes drop for 7 quarters in a row. But weirdly enough, the investors are toasting the company's health this morning. This is as of February 26, 2025, after the brewing giant beat Q4 expectations and posted revenues of almost $60 billion, up 2.7% on last year's figure. So the shares of the drink seller, home to global brands like Budweiser, Bud Light, and Corona, surged more than they have since 2021, up around 8% at the time of writing, as the market appears to be looking past the fact that the total volumes have now fallen for the past 7 quarters in a row, dropping 1.4% across the whole. So, they break it down a little bit more how AB InBev managed to shift drop 1.9%. The beer division, even worse, down 2.1%, with non-beer brands like Mike's Hard Lemonade only down 1.1%. They're blaming possible slowing sales in China and Argentina, along with possible hangover from the whole boycott in 2023 of the old Dylan Mulvaney scandal. And yeah, we've kind of mentioned this before, but Bud's not the only one who's been hurting, as the whole beer world in general has been seeing sales decline. But I mean, just the most interesting thing here is they're selling less, but making more money. How's that happen? And
Well,
besides
more
besides
money.
charging more, but like who's buying more for like AB InBev projects?
Well, I mean, so I have the chart up, and to clarify, they're making more money in 20. They made more in 2024 and 2023, and you see that the real dips in their quarter three and quarter four in 2023, which is, like you said, the boycott. That's the when the red starts happening in 2023 is when word of this came out. We said there was a big impact. We talked about it. I think
The power of
people.
girl dick.
I mean, the power of, yeah, people. I mean, we see it's still happening today. Um,
The power of
but
performative pissery, Brian.
what's interesting is there's something weird about like so we know the big hit in 2023 was a boycott, but then the boycott like the numbers really shrinking in the first and second quarter in 2024. It just seems like fall and winter time, assuming this is calendar related. Now their quarters could be completely different, but
Yeah.
like it seems like that fall and winter time people just aren't drinking Bud Light, which I guess makes sense. Summertime would be when you drink it the most. But the numbers that are fucking insane is you see they're chugging along in 2018, 2019, fine. And obviously with coronavirus, the fucking dive. But the comeback, the fucking in 2021, second quarter, they're up 21%. Like it's crazy huge. And that's like I guess when everyone lockdown came off and everyone's like, yeah, get drunk. So yeah, I almost look at these numbers like that is the 21% number is like the everyone blacked out, and this is the hangover we're still all dealing with like
Yeah.
years later.
I know, like everyone, like the movie theaters have not recovered, but the bar scene just like exploded again. Everyone's like, fucking finally.
Yeah.
And I like, part of me, just to be like, a little more analytical here, I wondered because AB InBev for ages was just buying this shit out of like any brewery they could. So I wonder if it was like a combined like boosting from how much was under their umbrella. And like, I wonder if stocks are high because like they still brought in profit by selling off a lot of the people that they bought like only a couple years prior. The
Hmm.
article doesn't go into a ton of like too much detail, but I wonder how much, trimming of the fat in the company overall led to these like higher profits with less shares. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and also like you said, they're really just measuring sales by volume, and they bought a lot of shit, but then they also offloaded a lot of shit. Like they bought some things and just let them die. So, yeah, I don't know. Pretty interesting.
Oh, good yes ending there, Bry.
No,
It's like, oh yeah, that's the
I'm
thing.
trying to think. The thing that I was trying to think about is you said that beer sales, and we have talked about beer sales across the board have gone down, but like I wonder if they're reflective of that, or if this particular one's just getting hit harder than most.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure like for the average man, there's still people who are, pissed off about the whole, Dylan Mulvaney, Bud Light thing. Doing a quick search here on good old Brewhound, who we've gone to in the past. They're pretty reliable. According to Circana, 2024 beer sales are down 0.6%. Volume is down 2.6%, while sales top almost 45 billion. So, yeah, like beer in general, pardon me, beer in general is just down. Not like the gas in my stomach right now, but there've been other articles before where it's like a lot more people are moving to the non-alcoholic beers, and
Yeah,
just in general they're trying to be
seltzers.
healthier, seltzers,
Yeah,
and the vodka mixed drinks even more so than the seltzers are like exploding, like the statesides and Surfsides and crap like that. Like
yeah,
everyone has their own like vodka drink kind of offshoot now too, so
yeah.
it's a weird one.
I do it. I think that makes sense. Like I think you're never gonna see a boom of craft beer or beer in general, like we saw when we started this page, right? Like the craze of people standing in line for craft beer was at its height when we really started getting into this. And I think that boom is done for a while, to be honest.
Yeah, because eventually, like, there's only so many people out there who are going to pretend to like beer, like because a lot of people would go to these things as a thing to do, and once they
Sure.
realize they didn't have to deal with beer, they're just like, oh, thank God.
And we've talked about newer generations are kind of getting away from beer just in general. So,
Getting away from drinking, getting away from partying. But Brian, if there's one thing that I know that I've said before, it could always solve any problem. It's a couple of beers.
so Chambers, I love that you brought back good old overrated, underrated. And it's very appropriate because we're recording on the third, and as of March 2nd, um, there was video circulated all over from the SNL skit with Shane Gillis, as Jim said, couple of beers. I'm not even gonna try to play the video because I'm sure it'll get so I'll just have a still image of them. We have the link below. Make sure you check it out. Um,
Yeah, sorry, no matter where you are, what platform, I'm sure the audio we could get away with it, but it's just not worth it. SNL,
I
like they're
also, you
strike
know what?
happy.
I don't even trust audio anymore on YouTube. So yeah. Um, as we were talking, and completely unironically, 2 minutes ago, between my brother and Juan, they sent out this clip to us as we're about to talk about this. So I actually happened to just watch it earlier today. Um, so I really like Shane Gillis. I do think he's starting to become overused in things.
Speaking of Bud
Um,
Light, he was their recovery plan as their new
oh yeah,
spokesperson.
I mean
He's the
him
everyman right
going
now.
him going on JRE and when they did those parks and Save Our Parks or whatever, and he would like sit there and drink 15 or 16 fucking Bud Lights over like 3 hours, and he was like all about it, and yeah, that's literally what got him that salesman or promoter. Um, but going back to it, I think he's getting overused. I watched his clip. I actually like his character before he starts a couple of beers, how like weird and awkward he is. And then there are moments that like I'm like, okay, this one's kind of funny. This one's eh. But like there's enough moments that make me really laugh that I can't call it overrated, or I'm sorry, I can't call it underrated because I think by definition, even the tweet we're sharing, it says this might be the best SNL skit in 20 years.
And I've been seeing that
That's
passed around a
saying
lot.
that's saying too much. That's where I'm like, okay, no. Just say it probably is just the best SNL skit in the last. I'll give it the last 5 years. Shit, I might even give it the last 10 years. 20 years is where I say no, nay, Jim. I don't know. I think it's really funny. I think Shane Gillis, but I think there is a couple misses in that as well.
Yeah, I mean, like there are some great fucking lines in it. Like when his kid's playing baseball, he's like, "Come on, you can't be bad at school and sports." Like, and that's before he was even drinking. Like, I was like, "That's a fucking great line." And then, of course,
Jim,
once again to the a little bump bit and all that stuff.
Jim, I'm not gonna lie. When I watch this, I just thought it was you.
It might be like looking in the future.
Like when he walks over at the water cooler, he's like, "Hey, everyone, do you want something?" Oh,
Right, you're assuming I go out of my way to talk to people at work.
well, the best was, and it definitely is you and Sandy. She's talking to him. He's like, "Huh?" Like I was like, "That's Jim doing
All
Sandy."
right, a lot of it hit a little too close to home. Okay, especially like the second half of it. That you could have just said Jim when he was 22. All right, fine, I
Yeah.
get it. A lot.
But yeah, I love like all the things. It's like things it'll help with. It's like depression, winter, affairs, moderate to severe Italian wife. Like just like what the fuck? Um, yeah, I think it's pretty damn funny.
Yeah, and it's all
And
like for those who haven't seen it yet, it's one of those classic SNL, like, you know, making fun of a pharmaceutical. They've done it ages, time and time again for any kind of like pill or new drug and crap like that. So little commercial, 2 minute clip, well worth your time. But yeah, the way people are, so here's my thing with it. Everyone's going, this is the funniest clip of the last 20 years. And I'm going, there's no way it's possibly the funniest clip of the last 20 years. But then I remember about how much SNL I've watched in the last 20 years and think about all the clips that I think are hilarious. And I realize that these are all 25 to 30-year-old clips, and I'm aging myself here, and it's fucking terrible. So it's like, there's probably a good chance it actually might be one of their funnier clips. So I am with you. I'm going with Overrated. Like, it's good, but like, I mean, it's not dick in a box, like the impact that that had on society and crap like that. So, um, but it's very good. It's very funny. I'll give it to him. Like, I think the like if I had to pick like an SNL clip I've seen like in the last 10 years, we'll say that I think was the best one. Like my favorite one is the when Chappelle hosted and Chris Rock came in, and it was during the 2016 election, and he's just sitting there while everyone starts like slowly freaking out. Like I think that clip is fucking hilarious, and you could apply that to basically every election cycle since then. So that's a great one, I think. But this still very good. But the best skit in 20 years, hold the horses.
it's too much. But I will say, how often do you even see a clip from SNL and think that's pretty funny? So this does stand out. I said I'll give it the last even 10 years. I'll say, yeah, this probably is a standout. It's very rough. But then again, like you said, we're spoiled coming from our age group and the shit we watched. So we saw probably all time greatest some of that shit. And then it's just been, it's like WWE. It's just dog shit that people are like, oh, I'll hype up the Usos. You're like, yeah, but they wouldn't hold a jock strap during the Attitude Era. Like
But
there's
Bry, yeet,
just a difference. Yeah,
yeet, Bry,
exactly.
yeet.
So
But
yeah, overrated for the reaction, but still damn good.
yep, I am with you on that one. Even if it hits a little too close to home, and I shouldn't like it as much as I do.
Jim, it's definitely you. Just
It
get
really
rid of the
is.
rest of your facial hair and just have the mustache, Jim. Just do it. Commit to it.
God, do I just become my father at that point? Just,
I
just
mean,
go balls deep.
don't trim the mustache at all. Just let it go wild and
No, I
shave
can't
everything
do that
else.
because it doesn't. It doesn't matter how much fucking beeswax or anything I put in there. It doesn't grow long or down. It grows out. Much
Do
like
it.
the hair on my head, it grows out.
I
It grows forward.
the people want to see it, Jim. Just do it.
No, they don't. If
Do
they
it,
want to see it, they can watch episodes from 2021 when my COVID beard was at its like best. But that's fine. Enjoy.
Jim. We're gonna have to have a drinking video game competition, and the loser has to shave or get
Oh,
down to a
fuck.
certain thing. And then you
Jesus
have to make the
Christ.
call. Do you shave the hair on your head or your beard?
Damn. Either way, it's no good. You've seen me bald thanks to a bizarre Clippers accident. And
And I've
that
seen you
was
shaved.
sure have. Sure have. Can I shave my
Hmm.
ass hair? I'm at the point where that would really be a net benefit to me. All right. Can
Only
I
if you agree to glue it to your mustache.
I might have a full mustache of that. But can I use it here and finally connect my
Yes.
mustache and my beard?
There you go.
All right, deal. I'm in. Let's fucking go.
Oh.
I'll be like a real
but
boy.
but Chambers, let's move away from your ass and let's talk about a system you love, but it's coming to us from our good old buddies at Palette Swap. And
Actually, before you get into that, as of today, the third, happy 1 year anniversary to Palette Swap. So they broke away from hard drive, started their own thing because of various terrible upper corporate management. And yeah, they've been killing it over there.
they no, I mean we've was it has it been just a year or has it been more than a year at this
Well,
point?
this is 1 year of their site launching. So we had Kevin and Fudge on like almost right after it started
Right
up.
after. Okay, so we're still within a year. So yeah, no. We obviously always support those guys, love them, and yeah, we've covered a couple of their lists now, like best N64 game, best what was it, Dreamcast?
Dreamcast, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, but today they are talking about the top 10 Switch exclusives. And I'm really interested. Now I have a much more limited uh experience with the Switch. So I really want to hear what it is your thoughts are on this one. So why don't you run us through the numbers and see what you think?
All right. So number 10, Tetris 99. Um, yes, obviously. We all know of Jimmy's trials and tribulations with Tetris 99. Um, they say it, and I 100% agree, where they go, it's a perfect combination. It's the most interesting idea that they did during the whole Battle Royale boom to throw it in with Tetris. It's infinitely replayable. It's exciting and thrilling the entire time. If you buy the physical version, you will have a ton of different things to play once the servers go down for good. It's just a hell of a package. And I 100% agree. I probably would have had it higher up on the list, but that's also with my experience with a lot of these games too, or what I would perceive from these, especially with one. I'll get to that later. But yeah, I think it obviously should be there.
I think it should be there. I would argue higher.
Yeah, I do have to say to I think John did this or no, Parker. He did this one. He threw some shade at Pac-Man and 99 and Mario 35. I like those. I really enjoyed those. I wish they were still around. They were easier and I got my wins quicker in them, so I didn't play them as much, but like there's no need to drag them down. There's no need to hurt them. Why hurt them? Did they hurt you? What happened?
I just
You
don't
tell
think
me.
they're as good as Tetris.
They're not. I'll go with that. They're not.
Yeah.
Next up, Luigi's Mansion 3. I have not played a Luigi's Mansion yet. It's a gaping hole in my gaming history. I know you recently just played the first one last year, so I definitely want to play it.
I have three. I got it for Christmas. I'm excited. Yeah, I'll just say right off the bat, from what I'm hearing, most people seem to agree it's the best one. So I'll know for myself. But makes sense. I think that is an underrated game because it is a fun time, and if you're looking for like a Halloween or horror game that's kid friendly, it's fun, but like scary enough. So I like it.
Next up, number 8, Pikmin 4.
Boo.
I recently just played through a Pikmin game for the first time, and I fell in love with it. I hear 4 is really, really good. I hear it's a little bit on the easier side, but I also hear that people love that dog mechanic that they threw into this game. So I would like to play it one day. I'm a little burnt out on Pikmin right now after just getting done the one, but been playing through it twice. But that's one that I would definitely like to play sometime in the future, maybe next year.
I have nothing to say about that because I've never played a Pikmin. Doesn't look like my style, but then again, I could end up playing and loving the shit out of it. So
Yeah, Brian has to get over that hump of it's too cutesy. It's too cutesy
yes,
and weird Nintendo.
It's a listen. It's my block, Jim. When something's a little too cute, I'm like, nah.
Brian has no soul. That's the problem here. He has no joy. He has no soul.
Jim.
It's got to be a gritty military shooter or some gas zombie game number 4000. God forbid something be a little bright and colorful in his world.
Sorry, you just like pink things that suck everything it can.
I'm not hearing anything I don't like.
Damn it.
Next up, Fire Emblem Three Houses. This is one that I've been meaning to play. I don't know when I'm going to have the time to do it because it's a fire. Like, I've only played one Fire Emblem game. I played Seven Stones a couple years ago on the GBA and really liked it. But I liked how straightforward it was because in that one, it's dialogue cutscene and then right into the grid based tactical action. This one's more open worldy with all the open world shit you have to do. It's almost like kind of Persona ish in my mind without ever having played the Persona, where it's like you have to build these relationships during in like your town and do these chores and crap like that. The battles look like they're awesome, but I don't know if I want to deal with the extra bull crap.
Another one. It's not. It's definitely not cutesy, but it's that style. When I see it in a game, I go, "I'm good. I don't. I don't need it. It
Two,
may be
two,
an amazing
two
game, but
Japanese for racist Brian.
did you just say racist?
Yes, I am in front of that at first. Yes, I did.
I can't tell if you did it
Fuck, I
being
need the
racist.
Steam Deck. I need to make that a drop. Racist.
Damn it, Jim.
Someone clip that for me for later.
Ah. So what do we got at number 6?
Oh fuck, where? Oh, here we go. I thought I deleted the list already. All right. I have words to say here. Fudge, you made this your number one. I get you like it, but what the fuck? And I love Fudge. Absolutely love him. Hell of a video editor, funny ass guy. But new Pokemon Snap as your number one pick, dude. Come on.
That's something Jim would do.
I played it. It wasn't during level 50. I think it was last, or I think it was during 23. That was one of my games for that. I played through all of new Pokemon Snap. I guess Pokemon Snap games just aren't for me. It bored the ever living shit out of me. I get it's a beautiful game for the Switch. I get that there is like, a lot of replayability if you're a completionist, and there's like, alternate paths you can open up and different things happen. It's just not enough there to keep my interest. The whole time I'm just like, yay, picture, hooray. Ooh, I got a diamond rating on this one. That's cool. And then like being forced to replay these same couple levels again and again and again. I get some things open up. I get that's cool. But my God, it's just like there's not that much different every time you play to make it go, oh, this is like a whole new world here. So yeah, I don't know what exclusive I would have put on that list instead of this, but I disliked that game so much I probably would have kept it off.
I think that game genre and altogether is overrated. I think it would be a perfectly good like Pokemon Go, like a mobile game on your phone. I don't think it needed to be on the Switch as an exclusive, and I'm sticking to it.
That's actually probably $1 billion idea you have there. Like making Pokemon Snap in like with augmented reality.
I mean, come on, man.
Right.
The writing's on the wall.
We should reach out to Pal World with that. Let them beat them to the punch.
That would be pretty cool.
I'll make some tweets, Brian, and take
like
all the credit.
I'm not shocked that in general that would end up on most people's list, but to your point, I was amazed that was his number one. So it ended up this high on this list.
Look, we're all fans of things, all right? We all have our likes, but sometimes we're all wrong. So I don't get it.
Jim's wrong all the time. So yeah.
Can confirm. Next up, Ring Fit Adventure. This is one I've never played, but I kind of was always interested in it because so many people talked about this, especially during like the COVID years and crap like that. So, like it's like from what I hear, it's actually like a pretty goddamn good workout. And I didn't realize that gameplay wise, they made it like as evolved as they did. So it looks like actually a pretty fun time.
Yeah, I've never played it. I've heard good things.
I wouldn't have it at 5, probably.
I think once again, this is my meter is against Tetris, and so far, I think Tetris beats all the games we've just mentioned. In my opinion,
fair. Number 4, Smash Ultimate. I mean, it's got to be there,
of course. I know what number 1 and 2 are, but like I think this should still be higher, in
And
my opinion.
I think there's a good argument for it.
Yeah.
Number 3, Metroid Dread. I'm fine with
Too,
this. I absolutely loved Metroid Dread in my time with it.
but can you agree it's probably too high? Not I think that's a perfect number 10.
I think it could be higher than 10. Like I think it could be
Well,
above like
it should be
Luigi
over
and
Ring
Pikmin.
Fit. How about
I
that?
think it would be a perfectly fine like number 5 or 6.
3 is too high, is just my opinion.
That's fine. You should play it one day though. You would really enjoy it.
Oh
It's
yeah. No, I mean I love all Metroids. I just
the thing that makes it different from all the other Metroids is how fucking fluid the combat is. It's
yeah.
like it's insane how fluid the combat and movement is in that game. It just makes it puts it on another like Super Metroid has the best world, but Metroid Dread probably has the best straight up gameplay, I would say.
Yeah.
Um Number 2, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean, if it wasn't number 1, if this wasn't number 2 or number 1, I would have went, huh. But not shocking. Once
And
again, I think you and I have both talked about this. Those Zelda games, let's just be honest, they're not for us.
yeah, I mean, I do want to go back and actually try Breath of the Wild at least on the Switch. Like, I don't want to be tied to the Wii U. I had it on the Wii U when I played it before. I want to try it on the Switch. I have it on the Switch now. Maybe the portability will help me with getting through it, but or maybe it's just not for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I put some time into it. I put like 15-ish hours, and I was like, yeah, this is good. But it didn't like keep me.
Yeah.
And I know that people like there's Breath of the Wild stands and there's Tears of the Kingdom stands, and there's like pros and cons to each. So, but yes, it should definitely be on this list, and it should be high. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. And then number 1,
Number 1, Mario Odyssey. I am 100% fine with that pick. Mario Odyssey was fan freaking tastic. Loved it. It's got charm. It's got the music. It's got near perfect control. For a 3D Mario game, I couldn't think of much more that I would want out of a game.
Yeah. No. Like I said, 1 and 2 I'm completely fine with. I think 3 should have been Smash. And yeah, otherwise,
Would you have had
I
Metroid
was
at 4 then, compared to all these other games on the list, or would you have Tetris there probably?
nah, 4 is too high. I'd actually be okay with Tetris at 5.
All
And
right.
then Metroid at 4.
All right. Yeah, they went through their honorable mentions too, beginning like Kirby was on there, and fuck, what was the other honorable mention they had?
The what was it? The arms game? The fuck was it? God damn it. You know what I'm talking about with the big arms that punch.
Just arms. Oh
I
no,
don't
Golf Story they had is their other honorable mention. They briefly mentioned arms, but yeah, Golf Story was and I have Golf Story. It's a pretty good
Are
game.
you a little surprised Splatoon 2 didn't make it on there?
I'm shocked. I forget if Splatoon 2 was exclusive or not. I know 3 was.
Splatoon 2 was, Splatoon 1 wasn't.
Okay, yeah. I'm shocked Splatoon wasn't on there. I'm shocked Animal Crossing wasn't on there. Yeah. So those are probably the biggest ones I'd be shocked in. I know
Yeah.
people didn't really love the Yoshi game all that much, Crafted World, so I'm fine with that. Super Mario Maker 2, I know people didn't like nearly as much as 1, so fine. But yeah, I still think it's a solid list overall for what they had. Except
No. Boys at Palette Swap, you always do good work. Keep it up and make sure check them out. Hit subscribe to them. Check out their website and give them some love and support, guys.
yep, definitely. They always make these lists and make for some really fun talking. And especially once you add a few beers in, you're like, no, it's Pokemon. What? No, what? Actually, speaking of, I'm shocked that no other Pokemon's made the list because I know Kevin is a huge fan of Legends Arceus. And, you know, there's people who really like Scarlet and Diamond, I think they are. I forget all the ones that came out on the Switch. Or even like the remakes, like fucking Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
shocked that that's the one that made the cut.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Chambers, let's move from a fun topic of our buddies to a more controversial normie view. What do you got for me this week?
Ryan, We are recording this on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. And yesterday, which I had no idea it happened, the fucking Oscars were on. And I'm not saying I had no idea that this
I didn't know.
happened
Yeah, I didn't
as
even
a,
know there was the Oscars.
yeah, I didn't even know, like, not as a snooty patootie, I'm too highbrow for this kind of guy. I just legitimately had no idea. So, yes, the Oscars were last night and hosted by one Conan O'Brien, everyone's favorite. But Brian, there wasn't a lot that I've heard about it at all. Like I heard like Adrian Brody won Best Actor, and everyone's like, "Oh God, where's he been the last 10 years?" Like shit like that. There's no slap like we had a couple years back. Not a ton of things that had people talking, but there was one joke that we had, and the joke basically was Conan O'Brien at one point going, "Well, we're at the halfway point of the show, and it's at this point where Kendrick Lamar comes out and calls Drake a pedophile." And solid joke, poking fun at the wackiness of that going on during the Super Bowl halftime show, all that. But it has caused a shitstorm, Brian, on everyone's favorite online social media platform, XC Everything app, where tons of people are going, "Oh, is it all right for all of us to just make these accusations at a guy with no actual accusations put toward him?" And my favorite coming to us from Academics TV, which is like another site for DJ academics who has like 1 million or 2 million followers, saying 14-year-old Emmett Till was dragged from his house and was kidnapped, tortured, and lynched by a mob of white people after falsely being accused. Conan O'Brien today accused Drake of raping a minor at the Oscars, and the culture celebrated and laughed. LOL. Is this what the culture feeling lying on an innocent black man? So, Brian, you, as the more normie of me, I'm too internet poisoned, as we all know. Is this just a little, a little harmless joke, or have we gone too far as a society on the internet, Bri? Has Conan O'Brien truly set race relations back another 50 years?
No, for a million reasons. No. Number one,
Racist again, Brian.
I don't know who Academics is. Did he have the same reaction when arguably the much bigger story of Kendrick Lamar calling it out at the Super Bowl, which everyone watched? And my guess is the viewership isn't even close compared to the Oscars, where he literally is calling out Drake with his whole song that we joked about, like was a troll song about him being like that. Like if he didn't call that out and be mad about that, but he's mad about the joke, which you just said what the joke was. It's like he's not even saying it himself. He's saying what Kendrick Lamar calls him out for. Like that's words are important, Jim. Context is important. That's why it's like his joke was just like, yeah, the thing we all laughed about and thought was crazy. This is the halftime. Like it was so fucking tame. I don't know the story behind why that beef started. I don't know the accusations. I don't even know, is Drake in trial? Is it like a real, like I don't know any of these details, and I'm saying that because what's really weird to me is how many times have we seen these like Hollywood folks that like the amount of diehard folks that are like, he's completely innocent, you need to stop. It's like, but what if he's not? Do you want to be on that side of the person who is defending the hell out of someone if it ends up being true? Like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, being like, "Oh, well, Michael Jackson had to spend the last 20 years of his life hiding from these accusations." And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but
And weren't
he
most
was
of
a
them true?
he was a really weird dude. Now, granted, like
He
some of the
slept
more
in the same bed as children.
yes, so some of the more famous court cases basically are like almost able to be thrown out in a way because it could just be there's a lot of evidence in like documentaries, but whatever, where it could almost be like it's just greedy parents and shit like that. But he still had a lot of kids over his house, and that's very, very weird. Like, I take my daughter to dance class, and she is in her back room with the other 7-year-olds. And there is the 14-year-olds and like 14 to 16-year-olds, like the actual traveling competition group who's doing their routines. And they have a window there. And at least once a week, there'll be a random dad who's just standing there watching. And it's like, you probably shouldn't be standing right at the window watching. If you're let's make a term here, Brian. We're going to call it standing at the window. If you're standing at the window, you're not doing something wrong, but you're also not going to ever convince people that you're not doing something wrong. And for by all accounts, Drake, he's not on any kind of trial right now. There's been no formal accusations against him. But no one's really jumping down from the rap world or Hollywood to go, no, he's not a creep or a weirdo. Everyone's going, he's kind of a creep and a weirdo. And even when people ask him about it, he never gave a straightforward answer when it's a very easy thing to say no. So when you start to do word salad, that's when people go, huh. But I'm not here to accuse him of anything. I don't know anything. All I'm here to say is, people, Conan wasn't doing that.
Well,
That's all I have to say.
That's the biggest point of all this. Conan making a joke about Kendrick Lamar calling him out. That's the thing. Now you can argue, do people keep rehashing the Kendrick Lamar to keep calling out Drake? Maybe. Or is it just that's the most kind of newsworthy thing that's happened that's not absolutely terrible going on in the world in the sense of like celebrities and this shit? Yeah, and to your point, I don't know like if there are current accusations against Drake. But it's funny, like aside from Kendrick, that's kind of like I don't want to equate him to Bill Cosby, but like that's the joke of like he really likes him young. Like I know the big thing is like yeah, I know you never watched Stranger Things, but like Millie Bobby Brown when she was like 14 or 15 would go on these interviews and be like, "Oh yeah, me and Drake text each other all the time. He's such a good friend and he gives me good advice." And everyone was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, we talk like late at night and stuff." And she was like 15, and you're like,
Hmm.
"That's
He's
weird, right?"
he's
Like,
standing at the window.
well, exactly to your point. Like, okay, talking is not illegal, but anyone with a brain could say that's fucked up. Don't do that. So I don't
It's
know,
it's very easy to not give people,
but
let's say, the
but
benefit of the doubt, but to give them the benefit of the doubt of this argument. It's very
but
easy
but
to have
to
people be like, nah.
I mean, I think the false equivalency here of this 14-year-old boy who was kidnapped, tortured, and lynched, and saying that's equivalent to what Conan did, I'm going to say it's a stretch, Jim. I'm going to say that's an over exaggeration. Uh, that type of shit is like, yeah, like once again, are you just as mad at Kendrick for doing that at the Super Bowl? I don't know. You tell me. As a
I mean,
normie view, as a normie view thing, I think that was, I think Conan could have went much harder, and I think that's very fucking tame.
I think he made the smartest joke for that he possibly could have in order to
Yes.
get something about that in there.
Yeah.
That's why the best Simpsons seasons had Conan as a writer for a while. The man's just that good.
Yeah. And I think I caution anyone who defends too hard Drake. Drake may be absolutely innocent, right? But like you said, he's clearly stood at the window in some instances.
Bry, given how Sue happy Drake is, I think he's completely innocent, and I look forward to his next record, actually.
I see what you're doing there, Jim. So yeah, I'm on the team of a joke can be a joke, and it doesn't. There's nothing more to it. I think it's just the hottest thing you could do right now, and it's probably going to be a thing of this beef will eventually sizzle out. I think it's hit its peak. It's like that chart I showed earlier of the beer. It's at that peak, and at some point it's going to hit a lull, and people will forget that this was even a thing. Maybe.
Well, Bry, as the president Black on on this podcast, thank you for your opinion on this matter. And yeah, that'll wrap up the Normie View and the podcast for this week. So yeah, once again, everyone out there, thank you for the support. Make sure whether you're listening on iTunes, probably is Spotify ever going to be fixed? What's the deal with Spotify here?
Chambers, I wish I could tell you. I don't know. Every week I resubmit it. I put it in there. It says it's good, and then I check, and it's not good, Jim.
Do we
And
just
it's
make feed 3? Just make a third feed and just go fuck it, put it all there, since we know we have a stable source now.
possibly, yeah. to try and decide what's a good third feed. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but yeah, Podbean, Apple, iTunes, those are there. So wherever you're listening, make sure to head on over to the other ones. Leave those comments, leave those reviews, leave those stars, leave those likes. Anything you can do can and will help the page. I'm not used to doing this sign off part. Also,
I wonder why.
all my, yeah, not dependable. But the beer. I definitely enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed the first sour that I had. It's definitely more of what I expect from a sour beer. So if you like sour beers, you'll definitely enjoy this one. I don't recommend either of these in March, but as the sour candy lover over here, as the old fat tits of the group, I enjoyed it.
I recommend this 100% in March, right around St. Patty's Day. Great beer, very drinkable, not too sweet, definitely not too tart. It's a must-have during March. So with that, guys, we want to say thank you all. Have a good night and cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Grab your beer.
I'm not used to it. Damn.